Are we really alone in the universe? According to high-ranking members and experts who train in the sky, aliens are out there.
We are not alone.
A former intelligence official and 2 former pilots have put their lives on the line.
What I personally witnessed, myself and my wife, was very disturbing.
To tell their truth in front of the United States Congress.
It was under oath.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Which means if he's lying, it's a crime.
A conspiracy that spans decades may now be a reality.
This is a huge, pivotal moment that there has been a massive, long cover-up lasting 80+ years inside the American government.
By opening up a dialogue about the existence of not only unidentified aerial phenomena.
If you'd have mentioned UAP, you'd have been laughed off the hill. And now we're sitting here today for a public testimony on what's actually going on.
But the aliens potentially controlling these mysterious crafts.
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And while the public reaction to this information has been strange,
government basically confirmed that aliens are real, and for some reason nobody seems to care.
And everyone be chill too. We can't all be like, who do you know here? We gotta treat these dudes like they grew here, not like they flew here.
Like truly no one cares.
If the allegations from the hearing are true,
I think this is an engineering and scientific problem as much as a national security problem.
Should we be concerned about what this means for the future of humanity?
Are there good aliens and bad aliens?
Good aliens
and
bad aliens and all kinds of ways and reasons for interacting with us. Unfortunately, they're not so benevolent.
Why do you think we haven't seen any of them? Not because they're not visiting or that they're not around. I think it's because we're them.
After all, why has there been a cover-up for this long?
The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had.
Just open up the files, let the American public decide. We'll figure it out ourselves. We don't need their arrogance overseeing us.
Before we get into the story, we'd like to thank today's sponsor, Factor. Factor is a meal delivery service that requires no prep and no cooking skills, saving you time and mealtime stress. All you need to do is heat it up. And that's exactly what we love about it. It's game-changing to say no to unhealthy takeout, but still keep the same easy habits of ordering pre-cooked meals. Only this time, it's healthy and delicious. With Factor, you can enjoy guilt-free meal options that are packed with nutrition to help you achieve your daily health goals. On top of that, all meals are chef-prepared. I mean, just take a look at this stunning menu. There's room for all types of lifestyles: keto, protein plus, calorie smart, vegetarian, vegan, and more. You can also add or reduce the number of meals per week depending on your specific needs. And with 27 plus meal options each week, add-ons, and the ability to modify food preferences, there's an endless variety of meals to taste. Use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use code POGSPILLOG50 for 50% off your first box. Check the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone. Now back to the story. July 26, 2023. The day humankind learned we might not be as alone in the universe as we once thought.
3 individuals claiming to have witnessed UFOs are testifying in an historic hearing on Capitol Hill today.
I just want to know why we are still going about our days normally, knowing that there are aliens.
Just the impacts of it were remarkable.
What will happen next is terrifying. The idea of the US being taken over by aliens is no longer just a movie plot.
As for those individuals that put their reputations on the line to provide the public with these revelations,
I'd like to thank these 3 brave witnesses here. They took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and dadgummit, they're doing it. And we owe them a debt of gratitude.
That would be former Navy fighter pilot Ryan Graves.
The objects that are being seen by commercial pilots are performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country. And that applies for the military as well.
Retired Navy Commander David Fravor.
You know, I'm not like a UFO fanatic. It's not me. But I will tell you that what we saw with 4 sets of eyes over a 5-minute period, still, we have nothing close to it.
And former military intelligence officer David Grouch. a man whose testimony exposed some pretty explosive allegations.
It was under oath, which means if he's lying, it's a crime.
He's the real deal. I mean, he had a distinguished career in the Air Force. Then he went to work for a three-letter agency you probably haven't heard of, the NGA, which basically tracks everything.
Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
But unlike the extraterrestrial reveals of science fiction, this universe-altering news hasn't stirred a mass panic over a war of the worlds, the end of humanity, or the dawn of a new age. In fact, the public reaction to the recent congressional hearing can only be described as, well, apathetic.
I love how the US said that there's aliens and we literally don't care. We don't give a Like, we as a species have caused so much nonsense that the idea of extraterrestrials just doesn't faze us. It doesn't faze us. It's just another Wednesday.
In a world ravaged by the pandemic and on the verge of both environmental and economic collapse, the consensus online seemed to be that no one had the emotional capacity to muster anything more than a shrug to the government's acknowledgement of potential alien life forms.
You know it's f***ed up when the government comes out and says there's actually aliens, and 90% of people are so burnt out just trying to survive they don't give a flying about it.
After all, if this revelation didn't do anything to combat current issues,
we're here to say to you under oath that aliens are real. We've had contact with them for a while. We have technology 50,000 years ahead of ours. We've also confirmed the existence of multi-dimensional beings. Question. Oh, okay, we're doing this. Yes. What does this have to do with my rent being too damn high?
what reason did the general public have to care about matters outside of our own deeply troubled planet?
Like, you're all like, oh, cool, another thing. Great, add it in the pile of wildfires and I can't friggin' afford my groceries. Oh, now aliens? Like, truly, no one cares.
Doesn't matter, because I'm going to take a nap.
It's just like it's another news story, another headline, and we're carrying on with our lives.
Then again, the hearing did generate some buzz on social media, although it wasn't exactly the type you might expect. See, instead of excitement brewing over the scientific and historic implications of Congress openly discussing evidence of life beyond Earth, citizens joked that they were more eager about the ability to learn a new language on Duolingo,
how to say boy,
mingle with little green visitors at parties,
Aliens are real, more aliens are coming. That's why I'm proposing that the city of Los Angeles set up a welcome party for our new green buddies. This needs to be the ultimate rager. We need to have a DJ.
and catch the aliens attending Beyoncé concerts.
Period. Alien superstar.
Some users even quipped they were prepared to bid their home planet adieu and be beamed up for their own intergalactic mission.
I kind of hope that one of them would just abduct me so that my life could get a little bit more interesting.
Yet, perhaps the online reaction to the hearing isn't just a display of indifference, but déjà vu. Or as one user put it, I mean, we kind of already knew, right? And it's true, officials coming forward with these claims isn't groundbreaking. For example, Canada's former defense minister, Paul Hellyer, has been speaking publicly on the subject since 2005.
I decided to go public and say, for the first time of anyone of cabinet rank from the G8 group of countries, that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying over your head. There's one species that looks something like a praying mantis. The short grays are the ones that you see in the cartoons. The Nordic blondes, for example, are so similar to humans that they can walk down the street and not be detected. None of them are exactly the same.
This spring, NASA acknowledged the existence of unexplained sightings in American airspace.
The aerial images were presented today. UFOs spotted and now documented around the world.
No matter what your feelings are on this topic, this is a major moment in our history where our government and NASA, for the first time ever, are acknowledging UFOs, UAPs, with a serious approach. Keep in mind, most of these people are scientists.
And just 2 weeks before the hearing, a team of Harvard researchers discovered what they believed to be alien technology.
The pieces were from a meteor that landed in the ocean near Papua New Guinea back in 2014.
This trend of transparency and new discoveries paired with recent reports of UAPs
According to reports from witnesses, the whole thing only lasted about 10 minutes, from 8:20 when it appeared to 8:30 when it blinked out.
And a viral TikTok story becoming mainstream news after what appeared to be a meteor fell over Las Vegas.
A frightened family called 911 and told police they had 10-foot-tall alien beings in their backyard.
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
Because I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too.
All has led to Congress' recent mic drop, making less of a boom and more of a dull thud. So it seems the real question the hearing presents isn't if aliens exist or not, but whether we should care if they do. Is it the possibility of bonding with these distinct life forms that makes their discovery important?
Tell me why I can't be friends with an alien.
Better yet, is it a chance for the public to extend their dating pools from towns to distant galaxies that gives these galactic tourists their appeal?
I need to know what these aliens look like before I decide if I care or not. Are they above 6 foot? Do they have a beard? Are they single? These are the questions that we need to be asking.
Or maybe we should take our cues from Congress on how we should be reacting to the news. See, according to Congressman Jeff Jackson, the biggest takeaway from the July 26 hearing wasn't the discussion of other life forms, but the way the Congress's notoriously partisan oversight committee seemed to come together over this one matter.
It was fascinating to see how members of both parties act when there's no clear partisan angle. Everyone was basically rational and respectful, even the members known for being pretty extreme. It was kinda great.
And perhaps if the information unveiled at the hearing was enough to transcend political differences amongst Congress, it might just be important enough for the public to take seriously. But with out-of-context clips and clickbait headlines circulating online, what really happened during the July 26 congressional hearing? Well, in a historic first, both military personnel and Congress had a public conversation about the existence of alien life. A discussion that had even the lawmakers giddy.
Good morning and welcome to the most exciting subcommittee in Congress this week, the Subcommittee on National Security, the Border, and Foreign Affairs, for discussion of unidentified anomalous phenomenon.
See, the Intelligence Committee, the Pentagon, and the FAA had kept Congress in the dark when it came to their classified research on UAPs until now.
I think it's time for this country to take back our country. We need to tell the folks at the Pentagon they work for us. Dadgummit, we don't work for them.
And given the American government's history of silencing conversations on the subject of UAPs by citing that this information was too great a national security risk to be anything other than classified, having this discussion in an open forum wasn't just big, it was extraordinary.
We're dealing with real questions that get to the heart of our faith in government.
The American people largely believe that the government has actively covered up the truth about UAPs. One poll in particular found that 68% of Americans believe that the government is hiding information about UAPs and not being honest about what we know about them. And from my personal experience, I believe the same thing.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
But of course, this hearing wasn't just a discussion amongst Congress. There were witnesses that delivered their testimonies under oath, and if what they said was correct, well, as Congressman Nick Langworthy put it,
either the United States has an adversary here in this world that we don't know, or we really have some serious investigations to do.
Former Navy pilot Ryan Graves spoke first, and it didn't take long for him to drop a bombshell. According to the pilot's testimony, UAPs invading Earth's hemisphere wasn't just a one-time occurrence, but a frequent occurrence. In fact, these visitations were happening as they spoke.
As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine.
But why aren't civilians, pilots, and government officials reporting these sightings at the volume they're occurring? Well, while all witnesses at the hearing agreed there is no adequate system to report UAP encounters, there was one other silencing factor.
The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security.
In fact, this stigma is so pertinent it can turn a witness into a laughingstock of their community or cost a pilot their job. Yet here Graves was, prepared to come forward about his own encounter. It was 2014, and the then Navy pilot was stationed in Virginia Beach for a training mission when his squadron detected something strange on their radar system. According to Graves, UAPs were in their airspace. 2 F-18s then allegedly came in contact with the alien crafts.
The object, described as a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter.
And while Graves' team tried to follow proper protocol in filing a safety report, with no real protocol in place, the spotting was never officially acknowledged. But that didn't mean these sightings stopped.
Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs.
In response to the lack of initiative, Graves found Americans for Safe Aerospace, an organization created to collect such sightings. So far, over 30 witnesses have come forward.
The majority of witnesses are commercial pilots at major airlines. Often, they are veterans with decades of flying experience.
And according to the reports Graves was given over the past 8 years and what members of his team witnessed back in 2014, these UAPs aren't the typical flying saucers of the past.
We were primarily seeing dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere, where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of that sphere.
And then there was what retired U.S. Navy Commander David Fravor witnessed back in 2004. At the time, he had been working with Strike Fighter Squadron 41 off the coast of California, when training was interrupted by an intruder in their airspace.
The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
When Fravor's team approached the area where this activity was taking place, they noticed a white tic-tac-shaped object moving quickly over the water, back and forth, like a ping-pong ball.
There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings.
Below, it was an area of white water in an otherwise calm blue sea. When questioned by the committee, Fravor clarified that this was not the tic-tac causing a stir in the ocean, but a separate something beneath the surface.
We actually joked that the tic-tac was communicating with something when we came back, and because the white water disappeared.
There was another craft higher in the air that appeared to be observing both their aircraft and the tic-tac.
And the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb.
They went back towards the tic-tac, but as they drew closer to the craft, it too took measures to distance itself.
It rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared.
But then it reappeared, about 60 miles away, just 1 minute later.
You can calculate the speed.
When Fravor returned to the aircraft carrier, he told other pilots what he had witnessed, and luckily, they were able to go out and capture a video of the craft. Yet the sighting was never officially investigated, and it wasn't until the footage landed on the front page of the New York Times in 2017 that the incident became worldwide knowledge.
Those articles opened the door for the government and public that cannot be closed.
But there was one other witness, and it's his testimony that had Congress, journalists, and viewers at home on the edge of their seats.
When I heard the things that Dave Grush told me, I was shocked. And yes, in some cases, I was scared. I still am.
I mean, that's an explosive claim. We need to dig into that. But again, these are stories that he's heard, he's come forward with.
He is doing this because it is the right thing to do. It's what he was taught to do.
See, over the past 14 years, David Grouch operated as a military intelligence officer in the Air Force and National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. It seemed he collected some more, well, esoteric titles.
I was my agency's co-lead in unidentified anomalous phenomena and transmedium object analysis, as well as reporting to the UAP task force, UAPTF, and eventually, once it was established, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office.
To put it more simply, Grouch has been selected to join 2 Pentagon task forces designed to investigate UAPs. But aside from the Men in Black-esque resume, Grouch was better known as a whistleblower. It all started earlier this year, when Grouch learned about a program at the Pentagon he hadn't known existed.
I was informed, in the course of my official duties, of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
Yep, according to Grouch, the Department of Defense not only had alien crafts in their possession, but they were deconstructing the UAPs to better understand how they were built. Yet, when Grouch requested access to this program, he was denied, leading him to accuse the military of misappropriating funds to use in classified programs without congressional oversight.
I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower.
But despite Grouch cutting ties with the Pentagon earlier this year, When it came to providing specifics on where these crafts were being held, it appeared that was privileged information.
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General and some of which to the intelligence committees.
In fact, it seemed there was a lot Grouch couldn't publicly disclose.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Do you have direct knowledge, or you've spoken to people with direct knowledge that this imagery applies to crash sites, crash imagery?
I can't discuss that in an open session.
What special access programs cover this information?
I do know the names. Once again, I can't discuss that publicly.
But according to the former intelligence officer, there was a reason for that.
I have to be careful what I say in detail because there is an open whistleblower reprisal investigation on my behalf.
And the stakes were high.
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes, personally.
Possibly higher than Grouch could admit.
Have anyone been murdered that you would that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Still, during the past 4 years, the former intelligence officer's job had been to collect visual evidence and interviews with trusted sources on the existence of UAPs. And some of this knowledge he was ready to share. See, according to Grouch, the Pentagon wasn't the only entity his co-workers had to worry about when investigating UAPs, but the pilots of these crafts themselves.
Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured. What I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing.
After all, according to Grouch, these UAPs weren't always empty.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And if what the former intelligence officer claimed before the committee was truthful, the existence of alien life hadn't only been confirmed, but the government had known this information for some time.
Like I've discussed publicly previously in 1930s.
Yet, according to Grouch, it might not just be space that these creatures are spawning from.
You have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand.
But currently, this is just a theory.
You have not seen any documentation that that's what's occurring.
Only a theoretical framework discussion.
So what did we learn about UAPs from the hearing? Well, the witnesses were in agreement that these crafts far surpass America's own feats in technology.
Now, if the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that?
No, not even close.
The objects that are being seen by commercial pilots are performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country, and that applies for the military as well.
These capabilities included supersonic speeds, unparalleled agility, and even jamming or interrupting the radar or weapon systems on human aircraft.
My crew that launched after we landed experienced significant jamming to the APG-73 radar.
Are you aware of any of our enemies that have that capability?
No.
And the witnesses also confirmed to Congress that there was the possibility these UAP visits near U.S. military bases could be motivated by the country's weaponry.
Based off of the information that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs are interested in our nuclear technology and capabilities?
Yes.
By external observation, sure, that could be a fair assessment, yeah.
Yes.
All of this was to say these alleged visitations weren't just mind-blowing, they were concerning.
Do you believe UAPs pose a potential threat to our national security?
Yes, and here's why. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had. You're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.
And House lawmakers didn't just provide a platform for these allegations.
This hearing is going to show the American people that their government takes this topic seriously.
But they acknowledge just how damaging the decision of executive branch agencies to withhold this information from Congress had been to trust between the American government and its people.
The lack of transparency regarding UAPs has fueled wild speculation and debate for decades, eroding public trust in the very institutions that are meant to serve and protect them, as is evidenced by the large number of people we have here.
And now that this information had been released from the vault, it's only a matter of time before more secrets are exposed.
We're going to uncover the cover-up, and I hope this is just the beginning of many more hearings and more people coming forward about this.
But after years of the government denying the existence of UAPs and alien life, suspicion over these recent revelations is only natural. Still, why would high-ranking members come forward with information that put the government in a bad light if it wasn't in an effort towards increased transparency? Well, according to skeptics, the motivation behind the hearing was clear. It was a diversion tactic. We already knew they exist. I want to know why now. What are they trying to distract us from? As for the answer to that question, TikTok user Jonna Palladino had some theories.
Let's go over 3 things that I think they're trying to distract us from by releasing the existence of aliens that we do not care about.
Jonna theorized the government could be attempting to turn the public's attention away from impending environmental doom.
The AMOC is a system of ocean currents that is very critical to the temperatures that we have on Earth. That could completely collapse by 2025.
The lack of air traffic controllers.
Very recently, an Allegiant Airlines airplane had to dodge hitting another airplane. How does this happen with modern technology?
Or inflation.
We are literally experiencing the effects of major inflation. Consumers are being screwed in every which way possible, and they're like, no, it's not happening. But you know what is happening? Aliens.
However, others thought Congress might be revealing these tiny pieces of information to distract from the whole truth, that non-humans are currently walking among us. This portion of the internet questioned whether it was a coincidence that the hearing came on the heels of 2 viral videos where plane passengers claimed to witness non-human behavior.
After that, they announced that aliens were real, and they had a whole press conference about aliens and UFOs and all that. Stay woke. Stay woke.
In one of these incidents, a woman aboard an American Airlines flight went on a tirade against a fellow passenger.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give 2 but I am telling you right now, that mother back there is not real.
In the other video, a man aboard a Chinese airline flight in January claimed he saw a woman stick a battery into her body. He then informed his fellow passengers that he was stuck in a time loop on the flight and knew this flight would take lives. But these aren't the only theories to come out of the hearing. Some believe the public reaction to the news of extraterrestrial life proved we'd been unknowingly primed for world-changing events.
If this alien shit would have happened before COVID, it would have been popped off. It would have been so scary. But I feel like they trained us to not give a fuck about anymore.
Others were more curious about what our ignorance to intergalactic life said about how these alien beings treated us.
What if the reason that aliens have not tried to contact us is because we're an endangered species? Like, maybe they think it's cute that we only exist on this one little rock and they all got together and created this intergalactic law that made us a protected species, and so they're not allowed to mess with us.
And then there were those hung up on a word choice. See, Grouch and the committee had refrained from calling the pilots of the crashed crafts aliens, and instead opted for a less definitive term.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
And this non-specific language left internet users like YouTuber Hank Green, well, irked.
I don't care if it's like interdimensional. I don't even really care if it came from the center of the earth and then built a spaceship that can vibrate through the crust and up to us. That's an alien. You know what you mean. You can't be like, I want to keep the options open. Like, nah, like when you say Spacecraft with non-humans in it, that's what we mean when we say alien.
However, there was also speculation that officials couldn't call these beings aliens because that would require clarification they were not prepared to disclose.
Like when they were describing the aliens, they were saying that they're non-human, but only human from Earth. Are we aliens, and how long have we been here on this planet? Did we cause the dinosaurs to be wiped out so that we can live here? And why have we not had any contact from them?
But just as the recent hearing has impacted our present, it also affected the way we view our past. It was over 75 years ago that a report of a flying disc crashing onto a rancher's property near Roswell Army Airfield spawned a nationwide obsession with little green men and their saucer-shaped crafts of choice that still exists today. And if recent testimonies are truthful, it's possible this wasn't just the origins of a modern mythology, but just one of many real encounters with alien life.
Incredible as it may seem, Roswell was true.
Meaning the whistleblowers of the past, once better known as conspiracy theorists, might be vindicated. In fact, the internet's already claiming we owe one man a big apology after his allegations seem to eerily foreshadow those made before Congress.
My name's Bob Lazar. I'm known for working at a classified base known as S4 out in the Nevada desert near Area 51. And there, we reverse engineered alien spacecraft.
Bob Lazar came forward in 1989 with the claim he was part of a program that worked on reverse engineering 9 flying saucers.
Eventually I was shown them. One close-up, one operating.
Yet, following a criminal conviction for his involvement in an illegal ring and then release of information that he lied about, his college education in physics and credibility was shot.
And it's changed my life a lot. You know, it's probably changed every aspect of it. Positive or negative? Well, for the most part, negative.
But of course, Bob wasn't the first to allegedly know too much. In the 90s, the CIA was working on the now declassified Stargate project, which involved remote viewing, a psychic technique that allows a person to see what is happening at another location on Earth. And the program had one star pupil.
The most famous remote viewer to come out of the Stargate project was a man named Pat Price.
He was deadly accurate on his predictions. One time, Pat Price remote viewed Mount Hayes and saw that there was structures that were under the mountain.
He also described these strange humanoid creatures, and they were working alongside human personnel, which he believed were military personnel.
Price began to fear that he had seen something he wasn't supposed to see, and had told friends that his remote viewing had put him in grave danger.
And it seemed Pat Price was correct.
In Las Vegas, just as he checked in to the Stardust, somebody deliberately bumped into him and he felt a sharp pain in his leg. And that evening he started to feel unwell, and the following morning he had convulsions and he died.
But these days, with NASA opening up about the prevalence of UAPs,
confirming 50 to 100 new reports a month, NASA officials say most sightings can be explained, but 2 to 5% remain a mystery.
The stigma surrounding these claims was already dissolving before the UAP hearing took place. But that doesn't mean we can't still be surprised by jaw-dropping claims of secret meetings.
There had, in fact, been face-to-face meetings between United States officials and extraterrestrials from other star systems.
Aliens existing among us.
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time, and it's still here. People see it on an almost regular basis. That's the communication that's already here.
If you had to assign a probability to that statement, what probability would you assign?
100%.
And various intergalactic species not only roaming our skies, but our land and our water.
And this is the big story. No one's telling you. A large number of the UAPs are in fact deep black budget electrogravitic electromagnetic field propulsion devices based on the study of extraterrestrial vehicles that began in the 1940s. That is a fact. We can prove it.
But the July 26th hearing wasn't just about past or present research and treatment of possible UAPs. It was about what making this information publicly available means to our future. And already tensions are rising between the Pentagon and Congress as a result of this crack at transparency. In a letter on his personal LinkedIn page, top Pentagon official Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who spoke about NASA's UAP meeting, described the hearing and Grouch's testimony as insulting to the Pentagon's efforts. They are truth seekers, as am I. But you certainly would not get that impression from yesterday's hearing. Kirkpatrick wrote in regard to his colleagues, who were a part of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, designed to investigate UAPs. He added that he had found no proof of a reverse engineering program for spacecrafts and that the suggestions the Pentagon would harm anyone for speaking out were unfounded. Yet, Congressman Tim Burchett snapped back, claiming the real problem the Pentagon had with this information coming out was what access to alien technology could mean for the future of the United States Department of Defense.
You know, the Pentagon would go out of business because we wouldn't need to be in all these worthless wars overseas over oil. We could heat our houses in the winter and cool them in the summer. It would just be incredible. And yet those things seem to be getting suppressed. And now they're trying to get additional dollars to study this issue. They don't need any more dollars. We just need transparency. Just open up the files, let the American public decide, and dadgummit, we'll figure it out ourselves. We don't need their arrogance overseeing us.
The internet was so intrigued by how alien technology could redefine our society.
This technology has the ability to completely change the world as we know it. So many of the arguments I'm seeing of why people don't care is like, oh, well, does it pay my rent? Yeah, it would absolutely pay your rent. It would give us free energy. It would completely eliminate poverty. It would completely eliminate world hunger. You wouldn't even have to worry about paying rent because it would probably get rid of the financial system and money in the ways that we know it right now.
And how these visitors could reframe the way we see our own world.
We are lacking. They're going to look at us and laugh. Like, they're going to come down and be like, why do you let like 5 people have the resources of 400,000 people? And we're not going to have a good answer for them at all.
Yet, despite the optimism of some users, others were worried about one group's potential to inflict harm. And it wasn't the aliens. After all, humankind doesn't have the best track record when it comes to welcoming other tribes.
We are a really messed up species that hurts anything that's new or different, or not immediately recognizable to us.
And who's to say officials hadn't already exercised this nasty trait behind closed doors?
Then how foolish. Answer me.
Why do you think we haven't seen any of them? I don't think it's not because they're not visiting or that they're not around. I think it's because we're killing them.
If you don't answer, I'll administer another round of scorpion until your system collapses. Do you understand?
The people that we've decided to let be in charge probably just have them all trapped somewhere underground, and they're just poking and prodding them and testing them.
Tell us the truth or another winner.
According to UFOologist Dr. Stephen Greer, extraterrestrial life is peaceful, and any narrative that contradicts this is a tactical effort to paint non-humans as subhuman.
Everybody who I know who has dealt directly with those beings have told me our own experience, and that is they are completely non-hostile. They have been portrayed as such because how do you reunite the world around a military response? You create a false alien threat.
And if this is the truth, well, maybe these visitors aren't here for us at all.
They could have been here the whole time, but I do know that they ain't looking for me. I ain't been trying to hide them. I ain't been taking them. I ain't been telling people they wasn't real. I ain't been stealing their ships. And if they is here, and if they is looking for something, I know they ain't looking for me.
2 possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe, or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. These were the words of renowned science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke. And as we appear on the verge of one terrifying possibility to this dilemma,
these are disturbing issues. They go to the heart of who we are as people. Is this
a computer simulation? Are we all the product of an alien video game or some multi-dimensional movie, drive-in movie theater production or something? Big questions, disturbing answers.
The supposed truth pulls at the fabric of the world we thought we knew.
You're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has, in this world, that has those capabilities.
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
And when it comes to what these allegations will expose,
no matter where you stand, we should absolutely care, and we should definitely be moving forward and figuring out how we can hold the government accountable and get them to release what it is that they know, whether it's human or not.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
We can't be afraid of asking questions, and we can't be afraid of the truth.
This is the story of the UAP Congress hearing, the meeting that might have changed the course of humankind for good. Before you go, don't forget to check the link in the description to conquer mealtime mayhem and enjoy tasty meals ready within minutes.